Hello, welcome to How's Your Book? I'm Cole,
And I'm Marcus.
and today we are here to talk about Victober. What's Victober, Marcus? Tell us.
So Victober is a celebration of Victorian literature, a group reading project, and it's happening this month. It was started by Kate Howe Reads and Katie of Books and Things.
And this is the 10th year, which is super exciting. There's going to be 10 different challenges. Normally they only have 2 to 4 hosts, but this year they've opened it up and invited other hosts to participate. And so they've got 10 challenges, which we're going to go through shortly. We're very excited to participate. There is a Discord available. They will be doing a group read, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Should we talk about our background in Victorian literature?
Yeah.
Which is fairly fresh. A couple years ago, my best friend Kay and I started a buddy read of Middlemarch. We had wanted to read it for a while, or I think I had wanted to read it for a little while, and I just dragged them along. It took us quite a long time to read because part of the rules of our little Middlemarch club was that we could only read the book when we were physically together. Took time to make sure that we were both in the mood for reading Middlemarch and had time to dedicate to it. And pretty early on, we identified that Marcus would also really enjoy Middlemarch. So we encouraged him to read it, and then he begged and pleaded to be part of Middlemarch Club. But what happened?
Well, unfortunately, a moment of weakness when Middlemarch Club wasn't progressing very quickly through the book, I started listening to an audio version, and the rest is history.
Yeah. He betrayed Middlemarch Club, just careened on without care for the tenets of the group. So I did share this in our introduction on the Victober Discord, and somebody made a very good joke. They would be concerned that somebody who can't follow the basic rules of Middlemarch Club might be liable to get in trouble with the Victober police. So throughout this month, we will be on the lookout for crime. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that's our introduction. And now we're going to talk about the challenges one by one. Every year, the group picks a group read. And this year, they chose, after what I hear is hotly contested voting period, to read Hester by Margaret Oliphant. You can read the book and join in on discussion throughout the month. I'm tentatively planning on listening to the audiobook, but I haven't completely decided because I'm being kind of ambitious with some of my other goals. We'll see what happens.
So we're going to go through the challenges and talk about what we're thinking about reading, our hopes for each challenge, and what we're excited about. Cool. So challenge 1 is Kate's challenge from Kate Howe Reads. It's a book that features friendship. And what do you have in mind for this one?
So for some of these prompts, the topic is a little bit broad, which really helps, I think, for achieving these challenges. And so I don't have a particular book that I've selected with the focus being friendship, but I anticipate several of my choices, which I'll share later on, to speak to friendship. But I believe you have a specific book in mind.
Yeah, I'm interested in trying Our Friend the Charlatan by George Gissing. I've read 2 of his books recently. I don't know if it's just his nice mustache, but I've developed a definite interest. I think that one would be really nice to slot in for this challenge.
You also found one of those really funny public domain book covers for this book, which maybe we'll share here. Yeah, so it's exciting, and we'll see where it goes. So the next challenge was from Katie of Books and Things. She challenges us to read a piece of Victorian literature that is not a novel. A play, a short story, nonfiction. What else? I don't know. Poetry. Neither of us is going to read poetry. You've got a selection for this one, Marcus?
Yeah. So I have an interest in ancient Greece, which is really just because I had a copy of the Groovy Greeks, part of the Horrible Histories books when I was younger. That led to a lifelong, well, I won't say passion, but interest. So I did a bit of research. I found that there were 2 influential works of history in the Victorian era dealing with ancient Greece. One by George Grote, I believe in 12 volumes, and Connop Thirlwall's 8-volume history. and I found selected, abridged versions of both of these. Unfortunately, the George Grote condensed version is still over 1,000 pages, so I can't. I don't think it would be a wise pick for this victober. Hopefully, a future victober, or just on my own personal time. The other one, Con of Thirlwalls, I was able to find a selection that's about, I think, around 300 pages. So I'm going with that. Bishop Thirlwall's History of Greece, a selection.
I'm going with one of Katie's recommendations that she provided in her video about her prompt, which is London Assurance by Dion Usico. There's also a really nice video by one of the other hosts, Roz, which is from last year's victober, in which she's telling us all about Dion Usico. I in part picked it because I've never read a play before, and I sort of thought that it would be pretty short, but it's a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it's not too bad. So I'm looking forward to reading it. It'll be the first time I've read a play before, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So challenge 3 is Marissa's challenge, which is a work that features a change in status for characters within it. Cole had asked whether we'd say status or status. Of course, we live in the United States of America, so we say status. This one, similarly to the friendship challenge, I think a lot of books may fulfill the prompt. I don't think I'm ready to lock myself into a specific book. I have some ideas. I've thought about maybe John Halifax Gentleman by Dinah Craik. There's an audio version of that where I'm fond of the narrator, so that's promising.
Yeah, similarly, I'm expecting some of my other choices to hit this prompt, which Marcus forgot to mention, is from Blatantly Bookish. So Marissa is of Blatantly Bookish on YouTube. I think it's a very common theme, and we're excited to see how it shows up in our different works. It'd be fun to see if it shows up in your nonfiction Greece readings as well. The next challenge after that is Ross's challenge of scally-dallying about the books here on YouTube, which is more a generalized sort of like project as empire spotting. So throughout the various readings that we're doing this victober, the idea is to look for sort of signs of the empire and see how that part of Victorian society is represented within the different types of literature that we read. So we're excited to see what that looks like.
We'll make sure to keep good notes on that, keep a running tally of the observations. Sometimes I imagine things will be quite subtle, but they're always interesting to think about.
Yeah.
So challenge 5 is Elizabeth's challenge, Elizabeth, a literary princess on YouTube. And this one is to read a work by an underrated woman writer, not one of the majors, the big household names. For this challenge, I'm thinking likely about reading John Marchmont's Legacy by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Cole recently encountered a very funny remark. Perhaps we'll splice in here the precise source. This was talking about the appearance of various women writers of the Victorian era. The writer said that Miss Braddon looks as though you wouldn't think she'd be able to read, was how the author put it, which we were very shocked by.
Yeah, it was one of those things that seems to be sort of a trope of literary commentary of the time, where it was like, what does this lady writer look like? And because I have a fondness for George Eliot, I was looking at it via the George Eliot Scholars website, I believe. And it also mentioned, as Marcus is saying, Mary Elizabeth Braddon. So it was quite funny, but also like a little bit alarming. I don't know if they did this with male authors at the time. For my choice, I'm going with Jill by Amy Dillwyn. This is one of the recommendations that was part of Katie of Books and Things Guide to Victorian Authors, and I was really interested in reading it. And I don't think I've ever read a piece of fiction by a Welsh author, so I'm looking forward to that. Very exciting. Jill by Amy Dillwyn. This next challenge is from Hannah of Hannah's Books here on YouTube. She encourages us to pick out a piece of Victorian literature that features education, discusses education somehow. And for my pick, I was really excited to hear her say that The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot is a good choice. It was one of her recommendations in her video about her challenge. We're big fans of George Eliot in this household, and I haven't read this book yet. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's nice to share it as part of this victober. And then I'll just insert myself into talking about Marcus's pick because...
It looks like Jessica Chastain, I feel.
Sure. Give me your pick. Give me your pick. So Marcus's pick is also John Marchmont's Legacy, which he did not know discusses education because he doesn't want to read the back.
I read it in the bookstore and thought it was interesting, but now I've kind of forgotten. So
yeah, and we're going to keep that.
Best of both worlds. I know it's interesting, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah, when I looked at stuff about it, I was like, ooh, this has definitely got education. It's a perfect pick for him, but he doesn't know it. So those are our picks for Hannah's challenge. The next selection is Jess's challenge. Jess does content on Instagram, but she does have also a YouTube channel where she'll be posting some content. Her handle for both is Dickens and Docs. She encourages us to pick a piece of Victorian literature that is a step back in time. It's a work set in a different era, which is great because it really seems like a lot of the Victorian authors did really enjoy historical fiction, such as our beloved Middlemarch is historical fiction. For this choice, I have a couple possibilities. I found a nice website that I'll share down below. It was a list that somebody had gathered of references to historical literature from periodicals at the time. So periodicals that referred to these pieces as historical literature at that time. So it was kind of interesting to explore. One of the selections that I found was The Billow and the Rock by Harriet Martineau, who I believe is a popular author for victober participants, but I haven't read anything of hers before. Another possibility is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, which is going to be the book of the month / book club pick for Katie of Books and Things Historical Book Club for the month of October. So that's an option. I also was really curious about Lois and the Witch by Elizabeth Gaskell that Roz picked as one of her choices.
It's Lois the Witch.
What did I say?
Lois and the Witch.
Lois and the Witch. Lois the Witch. Yeah, those are my picks. Marcus, what are you going to read?
I'm thinking about reading a book by H. Rider Haggard, who's most famous for King Solomon's Mines. I'm thinking about reading a book of his called Nada the Lily. I'm hoping I'll like it. Should be a good one for Empire Spotting. I'm very fond of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comics by Alan Moore. League is very suffused with references to the work of Haggard. So, you know, that's something fun for me.
So what's our next challenge?
Milena's challenge. Milena reads. It is the Color Wheel Cover Challenge. We spun a digital color wheel. Cole got green and I got purple. There's an imprint called Smith & Taylor Classics. It's under unnamed press. I read the release of The Odd Women, helped kick off recent interest in Victorian writing. And they have on October 29th, the romance...
28th. You'll have 3 days.
The Romance of a Shop by Amy Levin with a beautiful purple cover. So yeah, I'm gonna sprint over to the bookstore and breathlessly ask them to hand it over to me so that I can shove it into my eyeballs before the end of Victober. But it's short, so
yeah, we checked the page count.
Piece cake.
My color wheel was, my color wheel result was green.
It wasn't a big green wheel that you just spun.
Yeah, where all the colors were green. My pick is going to lead us into the next challenge, which is Roy's challenge of Roy Reads Anything. He encourages us to read a work of fantasy, and I'm going to be reading The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert
Louis Stevenson.
The edition that I wanted was the Norton Critical Edition because I really enjoy those, and it has like a little green stripe on it. So, boop, that's gonna be my pick, and it's got green.
Well, the H. Rider Haggard will also fill in the fantasy spot. This work. This one, I believe, features ghosts and magic, and these seem to be recurring elements in Haggard's work. He was more prolific than I realized, and I'm really hoping I'll like his writing because a lot of the things he wrote, they've got killer premises. You know, I'm hopeful.
Nice. And you might be joining me for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Our local bookstore is having a book group, and that's their pick for October, so it doubles up nicely for us. The next challenge is from Catherine of Taking Tea with Catherine on YouTube, and she is encouraging us to pick a book that has a connection to Jane Austen. And from what I've seen on the Discord, there's a lot of different ways to interpret this, which is kind of fun. For both of us, we've gone fairly literal, like we want a fairly direct connection. For myself, I've picked 2 essays from Blackwoods. I picked The Novels of Jane Austen from July 1859 by George Henry Lewis. Lewis,
I think. Yeah.
And also Miss Austen and Miss Mitford from March 1870 by Margaret Oliphant, who wrote the book group pick Hester. I'm looking forward to seeing 2 different examples of how Victorian authors were discussing Jane Austen.
I think we're both excited to be participating in the group read as well. I think Hester is in our plans.
Yeah.
My pick for the for Catherine's challenge is The Younger Sister, written by Catherine Humbuck. It doesn't seem like it's very widely written about, commented upon. I'm very excited to try it out and see what I think.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so those are all of the challenges. So like we said, for several of them, we're kind of like seeing where the vibes take us and seeing how our different books sort of hit those notes. And we're really excited. Another fun piece of Victober is that Rory has put together a really nice bingo card that summarizes the challenges and also provides a sort of like ranking where based on the total number of prompts completed, what level have you achieved? So for 1 to 3, it is Mr. Micawber. 4 to 6 is Jane Eyre level. 7 to 9 is Sherlock Holmes level. If you get all 10 prompts, is Dracula level.
Of course, we love Middlemarch. We would love if you're precisely at 5, you also unlock Mr. Brooke level, which is you went a great deal into Victorian literature at one time, but you pulled up in time.
Yeah. Marcus, are there any particular feelings or strategies that you want to share? How you feeling about Victober? It's the first, you're brand new.
I think I'll try to make good use of audio you can listen to while you're walking your little dog or other activities. So, of course, that's a huge help. I have at least 2 narrators that I know I like, and they've done a decent bit of Victorian titles. And we'll dedicate time between us for reading. I'm sure we're going to do great.
Yeah. Well, and they also, several of the hosts will be featuring reading sprints on their channels throughout the month of October, so that's a nice opportunity. Conveniently, I already have some time off from work this month, which I can put to use unexpectedly for this great cause of October. I think we'll close out this, there he goes, awkward little video. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Please let us know.
How's your book?
So, she, like all of the other hosts of Victober, it didn't go well. Okay, maybe some of these bloopers will be charming and
they can be. They might well
nice.
be. Yeah. Or they'll be off-putting. The prospective viewer will have gone through the whole video thinking, yeah, I thought that was nice. They seem charming enough. And then in the bloopers, they'll be like, I got the ick. I'm turned off.
Oof.